morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to talk about 8 new big basic Pokemon that are coming in what is going to be battle styles for us. It's Single Strike and Rapid Strike Master over in Japan. The time for giving Pokemon their own videos has passed, so let's group together and let's start off taking a look at a whole bunch of big basics. Our translations, I should mention, come from the lovely Joe over at Cerebi.net. And let's start off with a little bit of a look at Entei. And Entei, I mean, there's a lot about this that looks pretty good. 130 HP is quite high. The weakness to water is really not that relevant. You're a fire Pokemon, so you've got Welder to accelerate energy, and you're hitting weakness against stuff like Zacian, and this is all looking pretty good. The first attack, 1 fire energy, 30 damage, and you may attach a fire energy from your hand to this Pokemon. I don't really like it at all. Because the problem is that you attach a fire energy and then you're just sat in the active waiting to take a hit. You're hitting Jirachi from Team Up for weakness, and yet you're not getting a one-hit KO. I don't think this does enough damage. Second attack, 90 damage plus burn. Again, it's just not enough. You've got Welder to put 2 of the energy on. Then you attach for the turn, and there's all free energy. So getting the energy onto Entei is very, very easy, simple, straightforward. You really shouldn't be worrying your pretty little head about it too much. But with weakness, you're doing 120 damage. Then the burn kicks in, and that goes up to 200, which is not a KO on a Zacian. And sure, you could play something like a Vitality Band to get a KO, and if Zacian stays in the active and takes a second round of burn damage, it will be KO'd, but that's not good enough, quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen. That really isn't good enough. If I'm putting free energy on there and using burn and I'm still not getting a KO, no. You won't even get Zarude here. Zarude's sitting there at 210, so 90 double for weakness is 180, burn kicks in 200, and Zarude survives with 10 HP remaining. Because of the very low damage here, I cannot recommend Entei. Now, Stonjourner actually comes in as a single strike Pokemon, which is very nice. You've again got 130 HP, which is awesome, and that weakness to grass is unlikely to be a particularly big issue, which we like. And as a single strike Pokemon, you can use single strike energy, which means that you do an extra 20 damage on all of your attacks. And don't forget that we've got that Houndoom coming that will search your deck for a single strike energy and attach it to one of your Pokemon. So that first attack here lands Pulse, 30 damage. If there's a Stadium card in play, it does 30 more. Well, if there's a Houndoom in play, you actually do 80 because of the single strike energy, and you get to get it going in one turn because Houndoom will accelerate an energy. You're hitting weakness against lots of relevant stuff like Pikachu and Zekrom and Eternatus, though even hitting 80, you only double up to 160. And again, that's not enough. You will get a one-hit KO on a Dedenne, which I suppose is good, but is it really enough to put all your resources into it? I'm not entirely sure it is. Obviously, the stadium here should be Martial Arts Dojo, because, well, then you get to do an extra 10 damage if you've got a basic fighting. 40 if you're behind on prizes. As for the second attack, free energy, 120, and it can't use Giga Hammer, this attack, next turn. And 120 is fine. It gets a one-hit KO on a Pikachu and Zekrom. It gets a one-hit KO on an Eternatus V, but it doesn't get a one-hit KO on the V Max here. And it's free energy, so Houndoom won't get you rolling in one turn. And we just have that thing here where there's a lot of potential, but free energy is a bit too much, and 120 is just a little bit too low. Speaking of single strike Pokemon, this seems like a good time to mention Mawile, that can use the same tricks as we just saw with Stonjourner. Now, the 90 HP here is fairly low. This is the limit of what I would call a quote-unquote big basic, and the weakness to fire is bad here, and it means that the Volcanion that all the fire decks are playing will get a very easy one-hit KO for just 2 energy, which isn't good. But single energy, 20 damage, flip a coin if heads paralysis. It's alright. I mean, with single strike energy, you're doing 40. Don't forget you can use Glimwood Tangle, so the paralysis, you get to reflip. There's a much greater chance that the paralysis will stick. It's fine, but it's not good. And we would really like it to be good. If you were hitting for weakness and you're doing 80 plus a really good chance of paralysis, I'd like it a whole bunch more. But the fact of the matter is here, you're not, because there's nothing really relevant that's weak to metal. And moving into the second attack, free energy, 100 damage, not affected by weakness, resistance, or any other effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. Sure, you can hit through stuff, but you're only doing 100 damage. It's not enough. The main one you'd probably want to be having a look at here is Obstagoon. But the fact of the matter is, Obstagoon's got 160 HP, so you're 2-hit KOing, and you've got 90 HP, so they're 1-hit KOing. That is not a good counter to Obstagoon. Yeah, it's colorless energy, and that's nice. It means you can use Twin Energy, and you can use Houndoom, you can use you can use whatever you like. It'll fit into any deck. As a tech, it's lovely. The fact that you can literally put this into any deck whatsoever and have an answer to anything that's trying to block you really is awesome. But the fact of the matter is that there's not actually going to be that much relevant around at the moment that's going to block you that you're going to be able to KO. If you're playing a metal deck, Aegis/V is just better. If you're not playing a metal deck, I'm sure you can find something slightly better than this. It's one of the ones that looks really nice in theory, but you sit down to think about it and there's just not a reason to play it. Drampa is another one which has a lot of potential here. Now you've got 120 HP, which isn't quite so good as 130, and weakness to fighting is a bad weakness to have, because there's so much good fighting weak stuff, that leads to a lot of fighting running around. Now, as for the first attack, it's Call for Family. Search your deck for a basic Pokemon, put it onto your bench. Sounds fine, sounds good, but the problem is we've seen plenty of other Pokemon that are basic that let you search for more than one basic Pokemon. I mean, the Persimmon from Darkness Ablaze comes to mind. Lets you search for 2 basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench. So if Persimmon can get you 2 for a single colorless energy, and this can get you 1 for a single colorless energy, you're not exactly giving me much reason to go and play this over something like Persimmon. But there is a second attack here which may well redeem it. 2 colorless energy, 30 damage, flip until you get a tails, and this attack does 30 more damage for each heads. So if you can flip enough heads in a row here, you can KO quite literally anything. And to be fair, you've got Twin Energy, which will pay the attack cost in 1 energy, and you've got another one that can use Glimwood Tangle here, which sounds kind of nice. The problem is, you're just not going to hit enough heads. It's just not going to happen. You need to be hitting, I mean, just to get a Dedenne, right? Just for a Dedenne, you need 5 heads. 4 heads will be 150, it won't be enough. Well, the chance of flipping 5 heads in a row is 1 in 32. Oh. It's not good enough. It's just not good enough, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry. Now, we've looked at a couple of single strike Pokemon. Might as well mention a rapid strike Pokemon here. We've got Carnivine. And again, we've got 110 HP. We've got a pretty bad weakness to fire. But at least Volcanion, that naturally does 100 with weakness, will be 10 damage away from getting a KO. Now, the first attack does 30 damage and stops your opponent retreating. And we've talked about these attacks a lot. There are a lot of Pokemon that can stop you retreating, and this is really nice because against something like Crobat, where your opponent is unlikely to be able to actually attack, unless they're playing an Eternatus deck, you can essentially get a 6-hit KO, which is nice, but I don't know. What I will say is it has an advantage over a lot of those, because if you look at metal Pokemon like Zacian or Zamazenta, they have a minus 30 resistance to grass, meaning you'll do no damage. So, against, say, a Blacephalon deck, which isn't playing Metal Energy and will never be attacking with Zacian, if you know they're out of switching cards, you can drag a Zacian into the active and literally keep it there for the entire game until your opponent decks out. So although I'm not loving it, because we've seen so many Pokemon that can trap you in the active, the fact that this does 30 damage and is resisted by a common typing, you might actually be able to win some games with this. This is one I'm going to keep in mind. Plus, you can use it for a Twin Energy or a Rapid Strike Energy, and this is one I think we really do need to have a little bit of a think about. As for the second attack, Grass Double Colorless, 60 damage. For each heads you can flip from 3 coins? No. Yes, we've got Glimwood Tangle. Yes, 3 heads will get a kill on a Crobat. No, I do not recommend this at all. The reason to play Carnivine is very simply, if you think you might play against metal decks, or I suppose to put it more simply, decks that play metal Pokemon that aren't going to be attacking with them, like ones that play Zacian just for Intrepid Sword, you can wait until they have run out of switching cards and then trap them in the active until they deck out. Tapu Bulu is finally back, and I love me some Bulu. We all love Bulu. I assume Bulu's awesome. Definitely the best of the Guardians from Generation 7. Is there a reason to like this? Well, 130 HP is good. The weakness to fire is not. The first attack, 20 damage to the active, and your opponent switches to one of their bench. They get the choice of which Pokemon switches in. And on the one hand, I like making my opponent switch. On the other hand, you're only doing 20 damage. Most of the time, I mean, Fione sees a bunch of play, and that makes your opponent switch. But Fione, I mean, first it will also stop you decking out because it goes on the bottom of your deck, which is awesome. But the best use for Fione is, I can't knock out my opponent's active, but I can knock out any of their bench. Or, they've only got 2 Pokemon and I want to make them swap. Generally, you want to make your opponent switch their active before you attack. There will be times you can attack with Tapu Bulu and force them to put something active that they're unable to retreat, but I don't think it's going to happen often enough to justify playing Tapu Bulu. The second attack, however, free Grass Energy, 80 damage, you may discard all the energy attached to it. If you do 160... this one I like. There is a combo to be made here with Cherrim, and this is a video I'm going to be making in a week or two. Cherrim attaches energy to any Pokemon, Grass Energy, that doesn't have a rule box. And I told you at the time that we did not have a good enough Pokemon to use with Cherrim. I think Tapu Bulu just became the best option for Cherrim. Attach free energy, do 160, and then Cherrim can just reattach it. We've got Energy Recycler back now, so you can just get the energy back and keep reattaching it, which is awesome. I do worry that 160 isn't quite enough, and that you're discarding the energy, so you're going to have to constantly recover it. But I told you we didn't have a good enough combo for Cherrim. I think this might be, if not the best, certainly one of the best, and one you will play with it. 160... on a single prize Pokemon that you can get rolling easily? Yeah, that sounds pretty good to me. For what it's worth, of all the Pokemon we're looking at in this video, Tapu Bulu is the best. Now, having a gander at Heatmor here, we did get a new Durant. It's only fair we get a new Heatmor. 120 HP. Again, I really like 130. 130 makes a difference. But the weakness to water is good because little water is being played right now. 1 energy, 20 damage, just no, it's not good and I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Free energy, flip 2 coins, 70 damage. For each heads, discard an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. I could see this seeing play in fire decks. Once again, we've got that magic free energy here. Yes, I know you can use twin energy, but nobody's going to. This is for Welder. I suppose some people might. I mean, to be fair, it doesn't need to be played in a fire deck. It can be played in any deck, but Welder is definitely the easiest way to get the energy on here. And what we've essentially got is you're doing 70 damage, and again, Glimwood Tangle here. You're flipping 2 coins. For each head to get rid of an energy, you should get rid of 1. With Glimwood Tangle, you should get rid of 2 more often than you don't. And this is awesome. This is genuinely, legitimately, viably good in some kind of energy denial deck. Play it with a bunch of stuff like Crushing Hammer, maybe Team Yell Grunt, etc. And just run your opponent out of energy. I do really like this. I don't love the flippy nature of it, and I don't love the free energy. I'd love it so much more on a twin energy. But it works beautifully in a fire deck, and any energy that can be accelerated will work with this. You know, Turbo Patch and a Twin Energy will pay this in one go. I don't know. I could see this seeing some love, ladies and gentlemen. Unlike Bruxish, we're finishing off with Bruxish here, and this one should be fairly quick, because Bruxish is terrible. Now, the 110 HP is low, the weakness to lightning is bad, because there's all kinds of stuff like Boltund V running around that will destroy you, and being a water Pokemon, to be fair, is great, because of Welded X, Center Scorch, etc. You are hitting a good weakness. But 1 energy, 20 damage, I just told you I didn't like on Heatmor. My opinion hasn't changed in the last 2 minutes. No, I don't think the fact that it's colorless makes a difference. And 3 energy, 110 damage, yay! I can play it in a Frostmoth deck, and I can accelerate the energy on really easily, and I can do 110, and that's really good as a non-V, non-GX attacker in a Frostmoth deck. Was he? Surely? No. Play Suicune. Because Suicune for 3 energy does 130, which is better. And it puts 2 energy into your hand, which is actually good. It's got more HP too. Because then you can reattach with Frostmoth, and if Suicune goes down, you'll be okay. No, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think this Bruxish is good. I don't like it. If we want to pick the best Pokemon that we've looked at in this video, it's definitely Tapu Bulu and Heatmor. Bulu could be great in decks with Cherim, and Heatmor really could be nice energy denial, but don't sleep on Carnivine as a really cheeky tech to trap a metal Pokemon in the active for the entire game. That is something that can win you games, especially if we're playing online tournaments with open deck lists, and you know exactly how many switching cards your opponent is playing, and you can pinpoint the exact moment that your opponent runs out of switching cards. This could be pretty big. But I'd like to know what you think about all of these Pokemon, so let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.